Sheryl Swoops, one of the most iconic names in women's basketball history, has just been exposed as the only person who voted against Caitlin Clark for Rookie of the Year, choosing Angel Reese instead. Now, let's be real, Caitlin Clark has been breaking records, dominating games, and basically setting the league on fire. So why would someone as legendary as Swoops, with all her basketball knowledge, go the other way? Is it really just about basketball? Or is there something deeper, maybe even personal, going on here? Could this decision have been influenced by something other than stats? Fans are buzzing with questions, and this shocking vote has sparked a debate like no other. Is Swoops just out of touch, or is there a hidden agenda in play? The drama has taken over social media, and people are questioning whether there's a possible bias behind this decision. Could this be the start of a bigger conversation about race, rivalry, or simply refusing to pass the torch to the next generation of WNBA stars? But before we dive deeper into all the tea, speculation, and fan outrage, do yourself a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the juicy updates. You definitely don't want to be left out of this wild ride. Now let's break down why this vote has set the WNBA world on fire and what it says about the state of the game today. Caitlin Clark's debut in the Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, was like waiting for the grand finale at a fireworks show. You knew it was going to be explosive, and Clark did not disappoint. From the moment she stepped onto the court, it was obvious she was ready to light things up. Her early performances were jaw-dropping, and fans quickly realized they were witnessing something special. Everyone seemed to be on board the Clark hype train. Well, almost everyone. Sheryl Swoops, one of the league's legends, wasn't as eager to hand out compliments. Despite Clark's undeniable talent and game-changing abilities, Swoops seemed to be holding back when it came to giving Clark her due credit. And the plot thickened when Swoops voted for Angel Reese as Rookie of the Year instead of Clark, leaving a lot of people scratching their heads. Swoops' vote raised a ton of questions because, let's face it, Clark's numbers and impact on the game were on a different level compared to Reese's. It wasn't just a close call, it was like comparing a roaring lion to a house cat. Sure, Reese is a talented player, no doubt about it, but she wasn't breaking records like Clark. So why did Swoops, someone with a sharp basketball mind, make that choice? Was it a genuine belief in Reese's performances, or was something else going on? From the outside looking in, it felt like Swoops wasn't just making a call based on stats. It seemed personal.
I think Angel will eventually be a good pro. I don't think Angel will come into the league immediately and dominate the way people think she will. And I say that for people who have never watched a WNBA game. It's good. Like there's talent. Like these women can play. And because there are very few roster spots.
At the start of the season, Swoops even voiced some concerns about Angel Reese, hinting that she might not take the league by storm right away. It's like when someone tells you they're not a fan of pineapple on pizza, but then you catch them ordering a Hawaiian pizza. Swoops' vote for Reese as Rookie of the Year was just as confusing. Did she suddenly change her mind, or was there more to the story? The stats didn't lie. Clark was consistently outplaying Reese, leading the league in assists, scoring like a machine, and making history left and right. But somehow, Swoops cast her vote for Reese, leaving many people to wonder why. If you look at how Swoops acted throughout the season, things start to get interesting. She seemed to go out of her way to downplay Clark's performances while hyping up other players. It wasn't just a one-time thing either. Whether it was in interviews, podcasts, or social media posts, Swoops often ignored or brushed aside Clark's brilliance. Fans started to notice a pattern, and it was hard to ignore. It's as if Swoops was trying to steer the conversation away from Clark, even when Clark was clearly dominating on the court. It's like watching someone deny the sky is blue while standing outside on a clear day. Confusing and a bit frustrating.
3 WNBA MVPs in your career. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself?
No.
I can't. Bro, Sheryl Swoops is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlin is dominant. Do you know how insane you have to be to lie about your own career?
Like, but you were literally the best player in this, you know.
Right. Because I think you can be the best player and not be the most dominant.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because I don't have it in front of me, but like I wasn't the leading scorer.
You did lead the league in scoring when you won MVP in 2000. Not only did you lead the league in scoring, you led the league in steals as well. Even dare downplay yourself just because you don't want to admit that you were wrong. Bro, that's scary. I'd rather tear down my legacy and everyone else's legacy in WNBA history, not be able to identify anyone who's been dominant just because I don't have the gumption to put my pride aside and admit that I was wrong about Caitlin Clark and she is dominant. For those who don't know, that is a definition of self-destruction.
One of the more curious aspects of this situation is that Swoops has a history of downplaying her own greatness. This is a player who was a multi-time MVP, a key figure in the early success of the WNBA, and someone who dominated during her prime. Yet when she talks about her own career, she tends to minimize her accomplishments. It's almost like she has a hard time accepting how good she was. So maybe it's not surprising that she's doing the same thing with Caitlin Clark. Just like she shied away from acknowledging her own dominance, Swoops seems unwilling to admit that Clark is doing something truly special.
Because I think you can be the best player and not be the most dominant.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because I don't have it in front of me, but like I wasn't the leading scorer.
You did lead the league in scoring when you won MVP in 2000.
Meanwhile, Clark was busy putting together one of the most impressive rookie seasons the WNBA has ever seen. She wasn't just playing well, she was rewriting the record books. Every time she stepped on the court, it was must-see TV. Her combination of scoring and playmaking made her a nightmare for opposing defenses, and she was turning heads every game. Fans were packing the stands to watch her, and her energy was contagious. But despite all of this, Swoops still wasn't on board. Instead of giving Clark the praise she deserved, Swoops kept pushing the narrative that other players, particularly Angel Reese, were more deserving of attention.
All Sheryl Swoops did was validate all the speculation that there's folks hating on Caitlin Clark. That's all she did. Because to know basketball like Sheryl Swoops does, to be as accomplished as she is, to be the Hall of Famer that she is, all accolades that are well-deserved. And I'm certainly not attacking Sheryl Swoops the person because I think she's a wonderful person. She's certainly always been nothing but class and nice to me. I'm only addressing a point. How do you talk about the Indiana Fever and mention a multitude of players and now one of them is Caitlin Clark?
The reaction to Swoops' vote for Reese over Clark was swift and loud. Fans couldn't believe it. Social media lit up with people wondering how someone with Swoops' basketball knowledge could make such a baffling choice. Even Stephen A. Smith, never one to hold back, jumped into the conversation, calling out Swoops for what he saw as a personal grudge. Smith wasn't alone in his criticism. Many fans and analysts were left scratching their heads, wondering if Swoops' feelings were clouding her judgment. It was a classic case of, did we watch the same season? Now let's talk about the Rookie of the Year vote itself. Angel Reese is a solid player, and there's no denying she had a good season. But comparing her year to Caitlin Clark's is like comparing a flashlight to a lighthouse. They're both useful, but one is clearly shining brighter. Clark was the league leader in assists, averaging over 19 points a game and breaking records left and right. Her influence on the court was undeniable, and she brought a whole new level of excitement to the WNBA. So when Swoops voted for Reese, it didn't just raise eyebrows, it felt like someone had forgotten to read the stats sheet. Clark's rookie season was the kind of year that players dream about. She was doing it all, scoring, dishing out assists, and leading her team with confidence. Everywhere she went, she brought fans with her, and her performances were lighting up the scoreboard. In contrast, while Reese had her moments, she wasn't making the same kind of waves. Statistically, Clark was head and shoulders above Reese, yet Swoops chose to vote for Reese. Fans were quick to react, taking to social media to voice their confusion and frustration. The question on everyone's mind was, why?
Look at new players coming in, whether that's out of college, players who've been overseas, and they look at that and say, oh, you trying to come take my job. Like, nah, it's not gonna be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Okay. Not on the right team?
It didn't take long for fans to start speculating about Swoops' motivations. Some thought that Swoops might feel threatened by Clark's rise to stardom, worried that the new generation of players would outshine the legends of the past. Others suggested that maybe Swoops just didn't want to hand over the crown so easily to a rookie. Whatever the reason, it was clear that Swoops' vote had sparked a major debate in the WNBA community. Fans were divided, but one thing was certain: Caitlin Clark had earned the Rookie of the Year title, regardless of what the official vote said. Swoops' comments about younger players entering the league add an interesting layer to this whole situation. She's expressed concerns in the past about the future of the WNBA and what role players like her will have as the league moves forward. It's almost like she's not ready to pass the torch just yet. While this kind of thinking isn't unusual for former stars, it's a little disappointing to see it play out so publicly. Instead of embracing the new generation, Swoops seemed to be resisting it, and that resistance came to a head with her Rookie of the Year vote. After the dust settled, it became clear that Swoops had unintentionally positioned herself as the villain in the story of Caitlin Clark's rookie season. Clark was the undeniable hero, breaking records and winning over fans, while Swoops' vote for Reese felt like an attempt to rewrite the narrative. But no matter how much someone tries to downplay it, Clark's accomplishments speak for themselves. She had one of the best rookie seasons in WNBA history, and no amount of biased voting could change that. As the WNBA continues to grow and evolve, Caitlin Clark is going to be one of the key players leading the charge. Her talent, drive, and ability to capture the attention of fans make her one of the most exciting young players in the league. She's already proven that she's here to stay, and her future looks incredibly bright. Meanwhile, Swoops may need to come to terms with the fact that the league is moving forward, and the next generation of stars is ready to take the spotlight. Resisting that change won't stop it from happening. In the end, Caitlin Clark's rookie season will be remembered for what it truly was: a game-changing year that brought new life and energy to the WNBA. Her performances on the court were spectacular, and she quickly became a fan favorite. As for Swoops, her vote for Angel Reese might go down as one of the more controversial decisions in WNBA history, but it won't change the fact that Clark was the real Rookie of the Year in the eyes of most fans, players, and analysts. Swoops' reluctance to give Clark the recognition she deserved caused quite a stir, but it didn't slow Clark down one bit. The new generation of WNBA stars, led by players like Caitlin Clark, is poised to take the league to new heights. While Swoops may have tried to hold on to the past, the future is already here, and it's looking pretty bright for Clark and her fellow young stars. So, what's next for Caitlin Clark? More records, more wins, and a whole lot more excitement. The WNBA is in good hands with players like her leading the way. And as for Sheryl Swoops, she'll have to reckon with the fact that the torch has officially been passed. The next generation has arrived, and they're here to stay. So there you have it. We want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Swoops made the right call, or was Caitlin Clark robbed of the Rookie of the Year title? Is there a bigger issue here that needs to be addressed in the league? Share your comments down below, and let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this deep dive and want to stay in the loop with all the latest updates, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a beat. There's plenty more where this came from, and you definitely won't want to miss out on the next chapter of this WNBA saga. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the comments.